Hi, I'm Daisy,
Hi, I'm David.
and we're the MSA Crusaders. Hello, listeners. We're here today with Sarah. She's going to talk to us today about MSA and NOH and a couple other autoimmune failures. So, thank you for listening. And Sarah, hello, how are you today?
Hi, Daisy. Hi, David. Thank
Hi,
you for
Sarah.
having me. So good to be here.
Sarah, we're so glad you got to join us today. Can you share a little bit about yourself so the audience gets to know who you are like we do?
So, yes, I live in Texas and I am a wife and a mother and an advocate, an educator, and I am a person who happens to be on the journey with multiple system atrophy. Um, I, in 2019, I had a sudden onset of Guillain-Barré, and Guillain-Barré syndrome, GBS for short, kind of opened up the door, and MSA walked in that door.
Tell
Um,
the listeners what that is so they have a better idea.
Guillain-Barré, Guillain-Barré is a neuromuscular condition, and it causes sudden paralysis and ascending paralysis. So starting in your toes, starting in your distal extremities, starting in your toes, starting in your fingers, and it works itself up and in, and it starts to get to the chest. Um, and it is a condition that about 5% of people die at onset with Guillain-Barré, and I want to say about 70% literature states Guillain-Barré is one and done. And there's a few percent, 2 to 3% of people who have reoccurring Guillain-Barré. And then the rest of the percent, those are people who do go on and have lingering effects from Guillain-Barré that are lifelong and debilitating, that affect their ability to work and have the quality of life that they had before. Um,
That's so sad. Sorry I have to go through with that. Thank you for sharing a bit about your journey with us today.
Thank
Really.
you, Daisy.
Now tell us about multiple system atrophy. When did that come into the picture?
So multiple system atrophy came into play. Let me see. Okay, so I first had Guillain-Barré, my first episode in 2019 in April. Shortly after that, I had another sequel, and then I had another sequel in July, and it would not. It just seemed relentless. And I was going through different treatments, IVIG, plasma exchange, and then I started IVIG, or I'm sorry, plasma exchange and Cytoxin chemo, with the hopes of knocking that titer down of my recurring Guillain-Barré. And after about 3 months into the progression, into that 3 months into that 6 month routine of plasma exchange and IV Cytoxin, my titer knocked down into almost the normal range. So that meant that it was starting to work. I By that time I had been diagnosed with CIDP, chronic inflammatory demyelinating polyradicular neuropathy.
I'm glad you
Um,
said that. Wow,
yes, I can say it 3 times fast.
that's crazy.
Wow, yeah,
Yes.
really been through it. Eh,
So that was 2019. 2020 is when I started having a lot of symptoms with, well, end of 2019, 2020, started with a lot of urology symptoms. These are not typical in CIDP. And some of the other things that I was going through are not typical in Guillain-Barré CIDP. So in 2021, when I had colonic inertia, that's when it was first mentioned to me. When I said to a physical therapy assistant, I said, I'm the Leaning Tower of Pisa. And I feel like I am in a doghouse and I cannot go like stand up straight. Like it feels like I'm literally hitting a wall. And she said, well, you didn't coin that term.
Mhm.
And she said, that's actually a thing. And she started me on a program, the Big and Loud program for Parkinson's, except my dysautonomia, which understanding it's the full body, but my orthostatic hypotension, hypertension, things, I could not move my head side to side in my body to do the movements big like the Parkinson's program. She said, my patients are doing this in 35 minutes, all 8 steps. I was doing 1 step in about 45 minutes because I could not turn my head fast enough side to side. So that was about when I started learning what MSA was. Now, this wasn't an official diagnosis at that time. It was just keep this in the back of your mind. I had surgery to have my colon removed. That was 2021. And then that's when really things started to kind of progress and go very fast.
It just started. Sounds like you've already been through so much. I hate to know you went through more. That's hard.
This was just because there were so many different things. Just Guillain-Barré is a disease of the peripheral nervous system. And I was having all of these autonomic system, all of this central nervous system. You had a guest, Eric Bryant,
Mhm.
on who he talked about some syncopes that he had, and I experienced some of those too. But that's not usually something that happens. That's central nervous system, right? So a lot of these things that were happening were conditions that are outside the peripheral nervous system. And so when I was seeing different doctors, it was like, yes, you have Guillain-Barré and atypical CIDP because it was unilateral, it was, just not presenting. They said, but we don't know what else is going on, right?
Right.
So what is this other part? And let's try and explore that. So yes, I was having all of these symptoms, which now come to find out we know MSA. But at that time, it was just like, well, we're not sure. We're a little stumped. We're a little, you got us confused. So during this time, I'm seeing all of the ologists, right? I'm seeing GI, I'm seeing GI neuro, I'm seeing urology, I'm in pelvic floor PT.
And probably
Um,
research yourself to to teach yourself what everything is.
oh, absolutely. Well, and this is about the time that I learned of the organization, Defeat MSA and Coalition and the Alliance, and I'm researching and I'm just like, I'm not looking on Google. I'm looking at these articles, I'm reading
Yeah.
these, and I'm like,
Good.
there's not even a prevalence of some of these things that I'm going through. And everything was coming up, as an atypical Parkinson's. Now, whether at that time, we don't know for sure, but now as time has progressed and the Euro symptoms have really just been at the forefront, and urology being involved even on a monthly basis now. And just the progression of things, it's like there's no way that we're going to know if it's 100% MSA until postmortem. I do plan to
Yeah.
donate my brain to science and want to
You'll
do
never
whatever I
know, but
can.
your family will. We,
Right.
we will never know. Yeah.
Oh,
Can you
right.
explain to our listeners what neurogenic orthostatic hypotension and hypertension are?
Yes, yes. So there's neurogenic orthostatic hypotension. And again, this is part of the autonomic nervous system. And our bodies start to not do things automatically, right? Regulating blood pressure from positions, laying down to sitting up to standing up. And then actually just going a step further, once you're up for 3 minutes, once you're up for 5 minutes. And neurogenic orthostatic hypotension, usually you're having about a 20-point drop in your systolic, and which is the upper number when you're measuring your blood pressure. And diastolic, about a 10-point drop. So the lower, the diastolic is the bottom number if you're looking at, say you're measuring 120 over 60. But oh, you know, before my orthostatic hypotension, well, I alternate between hyper and hypotension and POTS. I was like 106 over 64, 106 over 64. Like I do infusions and stuff at home. So I'm monitoring every 15 to every 30 minutes. And in 2021, it was 106 over 64, 106 over 64. Now you could get 90 over 45. You could get 152 over 102. I mean, just throughout my days, I fluctuate and different position changes. But I've also had some differences, you know, with the medicine, but getting back onto track with this, but there's the different position changes. And usually when you see your physician, they'll measure your blood pressure, lying, sitting, standing. And people that have the neurogenic orthostatic hypotension, their blood pressure is going to drop. And sometimes it may not drop right away, but it's going to drop within 3 minutes.
Yep.
Of standing up.
Mine has to wait 3 minutes. Stand up and wait 3 minutes.
Yeah. So there's also dizziness that happens, and for patients with orthostatic hypotension. But for me, I describe it as like a swaying, like if you're on a boat and you're swaying side to side. I don't have the vertigo dizziness unless I'm having SVT going on. I don't have that with my position changes, but vision changes, that's also common in patients.
So what you're describing is like a typical Friday night for me, drinking vodka. That is what you're saying, right?
That sounds good. That sounds good. But, you know, just make sure you're safe and have somebody with you, right? Same
Absolutely.
thing.
The couch to fall on. Absolutely.
That's right, David.
Hey, if you're gonna fall, you might as well fall on that couch. So
right.
You learning those compensatory strategies to make sure that you're not hitting them.
Why wait to fall when you should just be laying down to begin with? You lie down and drink. Come on, guys, let's get with this.
Don't drink their straw.
Make drinking vodka easy again. Come on, guys, let's go.
Hey, you know what? We don't even have to drink to have that much fun passing out.
Right? That's true.
All right. So it was 2019 that your symptoms first started?
That's when the majority of the symptoms, well, that's when the onset of Guillain-Barré and CIDP happened. But I would say that in retrospect, there were symptoms that could have been, you know, there's symptoms that were very common, but they're common in a lot of different conditions, right? They're common in neuromuscular conditions. They're common in just different kinds of things. Like sometimes I was falling, you know, a little bit before then. I had some falls. I had some. Well, my vision was going 2020 or 2019. A lot of the stuff did happen, yes, in 2019. I would say that there were some very common medical symptoms that were happening as early as 2017. In retrospect. So some cognition, as far as like attention and all of that, that's been my life. But now I say it's like, you know, a squirrel on steroids is
right.
dealing with my brain sometimes, right?
I just want to say is the way you phrased it about these in hindsight, these other symptoms, I can't stand when somebody gets on here or anywhere I see, mostly posts on Facebook, and they're like, yeah, you know, I've had these symptoms for 20 years, and looking back, and it's you know, that's from the beginning of MSA. 20 years? No, that has nothing to, absolutely not. Now, RBD can go back very far, right? Things even ED can go a little far, But someone that gets out here that says everything is because of MSA, all these other telltale signs and
Right.
symptoms I had 10 years ago.
Years ago.
No, there's so many things that can cause these
No.
deficiencies. So I'm glad you said that the way you did.
Right, because there are like they're very common symptoms, like my attention span being short. Like, yes, that is something that has been lifelong. But did I notice difference? No, not really. And I mean, did I notice that it was anything different than my general peers?
Right.
No, but the hippocampal brain atrophy on the MRI, that kind of like distinguished something, but that
Yeah.
didn't happen right when I had my syncope, like because they did a brain MRI. So I had a baseline that was a completely normal brain MRI. And then a year later, when I'm up in a big university, I having imaging and having all these tests and everything, all of a sudden I have hippocampal brain atrophy. And it was explained to me that, of course, nothing was going to show up because I had just had the syncope and I had just had the onset of Guillain-Barré when they did the imaging. So, yeah, nothing showed. But a year passed. And so, yeah, that's like the things where I can line up, like my bladder,
No comparison either.
Yeah. And then like bladder, just different things coming where, if you look at, the clinical rating score for, like the movement disorders, right? For the MSA.
Yep. 4.0.
Help me see. Yeah. Like you're looking through that and it's just like, wow.
Yeah, I'm all of them 1.0. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't know what that was until they actually put that on some of my tests that they had. And I was like, what is this metrics that they're using? I go to Google and go to the movement disorder website to look at the scoring system. I'm like, oh, I'm ones and twos for everything. Some of the scores are 1 to 3s and some are 1 to 4s. But yeah, when you actually look at your own scores, if the doctors includes them, that tells you how bad you're actually doing.
Yes. But I'm very grateful to learn a lot about these compensatory strategies to help, especially with the all of the systems.
I'm still really learning too. Sarah's taught me a lot.
Oh gosh, thank you. We are all learning and we are all in this together. This is something that nobody should ever go through alone, and it gets us thinking, right? Like I listen to your guys' podcast too, and I hear other people, I hear you guys, and I'm like the episode where you guys were talking about not sweating. I'm
yeah.
Oh my gosh, I've never met somebody else who doesn't sweat. I haven't had sweat since 2021.
And now I sweat like a pig. It's unbelievable how this thing goes up and down. It was like a little here, give it back to you tomorrow. Take away tomorrow, give it back to you today. It's weird. Yeah, that's good.
Yes. Well, when I had the SVT, I did sweat. I had a heart rate of 213, 216 for 45 minutes, and I sweated the electrodes right off in the ambulance. And I got to the emergency room, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm impressed with myself. I'm sweating." They converted me in the ambulance, so I was fine by the time I arrived. But they're like, "Well, a heart rate that high doesn't make anybody sweat."
Everything's coming off. Yeah, it's that morphine coming out the pores, right?
I would say she's very bipolar, MSA. Very, very bipolar.
Yeah, Sarah is the epitome of what it is when MSA attacks your autonomic first.
And everywhere at that.
Yeah. Well, I call it the bees. This is what I call it because I always say the bees, and this is how I ask the doctors to remember it: brain, bowel, bladder, balance, breathing. Then lately, I shouldn't say lately, it's been a while, blood. And then I just add in body. Like it's just, so I say, which one do you want to know about? Do you want to know about my brain, my bowels, my bladder, my balance, because guess what? It's all in the same house here. So one is affecting the other. And yes, I do. I have them all because go big or go home.
I've never heard that before, the bees. I like that.
It's a knockoff of the Better Business Bureau.
So there's more bees.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. What else could we make up for a bee? Because I'm trying to trying to
I
see
think
how
some
to
names.
better expand my explanations of how this is my whole body.
We'll have some homework to do on that one. That's for sure.
What's been the biggest challenge for you, and how have you managed that on your day-to-day basis?
Oh gosh, the biggest challenge, would you physical challenge or emotional challenge?
Either.
Bro, yeah, bro. Let's do one of
Yeah.
each. How about that?
Well, so the biggest emotional challenge I would say, well, one of the things that was hard for me to get to was slowing down because I had a 120-mile-an-hour life before I got Guillain-Barré, and Guillain-Barré stopped me in my tracks. And I was not used to being home. If I was home sitting in sitting in my driveway in my Jeep, I would be like, where am I supposed to be? What am I doing? Like, I was traveling, I was working, 3 kids, husband, volunteering, all of the things, right? And so to be stopped, literally in the cement, paralyzed,
Mm-hmm.
and have that happen about 9 times of paralysis over these last 5 years. It was very much of an adjustment emotionally because I was used to being so busy and doing things that I was no longer able to drive. I was no longer able to go and volunteer outside of the home. I was not able to do all of those things. So emotionally, I had to reset and refocus how I was going to be able to still do the things that I love to do, but in a different way. So one of those things that I have started to do is I volunteer from my couch, and I am an advocate from my couch. And this is, of course, a different time schedule. This is in between appointments and my therapies and all of the things. But it is it's very rewarding. I'm very passionate about what I do. I am able to do a lot of the things that I still love to do, but it just looks very different, and that's okay. Um, I do travel between my couch and the bed. I
I,
have a
I
travel
love that
bag.
attitude. I love that attitude.
You have
That's
such
great.
a great sense of humor. I love it.
Well, we have to have the humor in all of this, like, because it's all right to cry, right? But it's
Right.
also like feel the feels, and then let's move on, because what am I going to do differently about it? Like, I can't make my legs walk. I've tried. If I could get up in the car and drive, I probably would. But I will adjust and reset and refocus. And it doesn't mean that I can't do the things that I love to do. Now, lately, things have been a little bit more challenging with my health. So I don't have all the time that I would like to devote to that. But I still like to take out time every day to do what I love to do and volunteer, educate, advocate. And I am, one of the challenges not being able to be around my children and do all those activities, but it's been 5 years. They've grown up a little bit. And FaceTime works really well across the
It does.
country.
It does.
Let's be couch buddies together.
Yes, let's be couch buddies together. Hey, I have Zoom, so we can even like hang out, and we can just put our laptops right next to each other, and like we'll play some music and we'll drive. Like, hey, David, you have a gaming wheel that we could borrow?
I do, and I have a pilot one too for airplanes.
Oh, we go to cruise.
Yes, yes. All
We're,
right, see,
we're
we're
gonna have
set.
we're gonna have a beach background on Zoom.
Yeah,
Ooh, hey,
I
I'm
love
already one step ahead. I got that.
it.
But that's another thing. I can't go to the beach anymore. But you know what? My family brought the beach to my bedroom.
Mm-hmm. I was about to say we'll put some sand in your bathtub, and same thing. It might clog the drain, but we'll clean it out.
It's worth it. It's worth it.
Get the vacuum hose. Your body's slowed down, but your life is still staying busy. That's good. I think that's really good that we stay busy. Makes you feel like you have a purpose and something.
Oh, Daisy, you said the exact thing that I wanted to say too. That's what I was thinking. Like, my life has a lot of purpose. It has a meaning. Like, I'm here for a reason. And just because it looks different, that's why I say it's okay to look different. It's okay that I don't need to go commute for I switch it around in turn. Do I know I no longer have to commute for an hour and get like be stuck in traffic and have to pull over at Target, oh darn, because I'm like, oh, there's too much traffic. I don't want to sit in the traffic. Let me go be productive and walk around Target until the traffic is better, and then I'll start driving again.
Yep.
Like, now I get an extra hour to volunteer, advocate, talk with others, and Daisy and I have gotten a chance to talk and just all kinds of things. So
I've enjoyed getting to know you.
So now
me too.
all of us would say we are now work from homers. We did like, after COVID, everybody worked from home. Like that's what we do now, right? We work from home.
Yes, we do.
Right. Yes, you got it. See, we got this going on.
Our bodies have slowed down, but we still stay busy.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Well, it's a full-time job going to the doctors, right?
That's
right.
It's a full-time job going to the shower. What are you talking about?
I do a controlled fall into my bath and shower, so we're okay. So what is your Sarah? What is your favorite items to do? We talk about advocating from home. What's the best thing you love to do?
The best thing I love to do, I love to be on Zoom with my babies. And I say babies, they're 25, 23, and I have a
Hey, always our
19-year-old
babies.
home. They are always my babies. So, I love to get on to Zoom and have all of them together. There's also, I joined Discord. Yes, I'm not a gamer, but
Wow, hanging out with the youngins. Wow, okay.
Yep. Well, my youngins, my children, they made me a Discord ID, whatever, a while ago.
My made me one too.
Yeah. Well, apparently that's the way that we can watch videos. And it's really cool because my son is a gamer too, David, and he'll be doing his game, and like there's a screen where I'm watching him literally play his game and then like see his game. And then my oldest can be on, she can be playing YouTube videos, like those kind of things. Is like, it looks different, but it's so much fun because we can still all be together. And my
Absolutely.
husband here with me, and he can see, like, we're just together. We do Christmas on there, just random days,
Love it. Sweet. That's sweet.
What other type of support resources do you use? Like obviously we have medical resources we use. Do you use anything outside of medical? Like you have friends and family that come over to help out, maybe support groups for MSA or Parkinson's. Like sometimes I go to those. Anything like that you use to help you?
I do not have anything local that I go to. I am 100% medically homebound. But I do Facebook groups. That's how I found you and Daisy. I am part of a support group with Cure.
PSP?
Yes.
I love that website. It has nothing to do with say, but I said on the last video, I think Daisy, or I think last podcast or one of my videos, I said they have so much info on MSA too, just out of nowhere. It's a fabulous website.
Yes, it really is. And there's a group that meets once a month, and I think I've been there 3 times now. And I really, really, it's kind of like the family that you didn't really want to have or know that you're going to have, but like you really enjoy their presence. And like, we never thought that we'd be here, right? Like sitting here talking about MSA, but here we are. And so I find a lot of comfort, and I learn so much, always learning. And so that's a great resource. But Defeat MSA is another resource. Coalition, the Alliance, just reaching out. Oh, Eric Bryant, his website, his blog.
It's
I
a
really,
great blog. I love reading
She
that.
really listened to our podcast.
yes, I listen to your podcast. I listen to David's.
Good, because there is a quiz after this audio file. After we get done, there's going to be a quiz about our
Ooh,
podcast.
I think I might have to go to an appointment. No, you can quiz me. Go ahead. I'm a teacher. I got this.
Pop quiz.
Sarah literally said that having MSA, being part of that group is like having a basketball pickup game and getting picked last. Like, we don't want to be on this team, but here we are, right?
Yeah, we didn't ask for it, but we got it anyway.
Right. And you guys, like, it's so, you know what I mean when I say, like, it's comforting to talk to people who understand and can empathize, and not necessarily, I mean, you guys aren't sympathizing. Like, I would rather somebody empathize and know that, but like, I don't even have to explain something to you. If there's something that's like typically a taboo topic that people wouldn't want to be comfortable with, I like, when I signed on with you guys and I was like, oh wait, first I have to connect to my my dextrose, and you guys were like, oh, it's okay. There's times where I forget that that's not a normal thing, like, but it's become my normal. I've been flowing for a year and 3 months, 24/7. And so for me, it gets to be normal, but you guys didn't even flinch. You didn't question it. You're very supportive.
Oh.
And, it's like, oh.
Well, Daisy says I can't yell at our guests anymore. So
I got on too.
I love talking to people. Sarah, moving on. Misconceptions. You talk about taboo things. What are some misconceptions we see out there that you've personally run across, if at all, about MSA and or orthostatic hypotension?
Oh, well, one of the biggest things that I think is, what is the definition of dysautonomia? Because I think that a lot of people feel that dysautonomia just has to do with a position change. And it's much, much more than that. Dysautonomia affects our whole bodies, right? It's your autonomic nervous system. So yes, the orthostatic hypotension, neurogenic orthostatic hypotension, hypertension, POTS, there's so many different, that's just, dysautonomia is the umbrella.
Yeah.
So I think that a lot of people don't realize that, and not just people with MSA, but in general, not that a lot of people know what MSA means. It's not multiple sclerosis. But
it's multiple sclerosis progressive.
How many times do you have to tell somebody what it is?
I just stopped saying that. One of my diagnoses kind of sums it up, and it says multiple system degeneration of the autonomic nervous system.
Yeah.
So that term, when I have that really does help explain what MSA is. Because if I say MSA, it's like telling somebody GBS, CIDP, Ehlers-Danlos, EDS, POTS. They're not understanding. And so when I say, and I have a paper printed out, this is multiple system degeneration of the autonomic nervous system. And that's really what dysautonomia is. And so dysautonomia is our body's ability to regulate heart rate, our digestive system, our bladder, our ability to sweat, right? Like, or inability to sweat, temperature regulation, our breathing, our pulmonary function, and definitely the blood pressure. But it's not just that. And again, there are people who have, it can be a common symptom, right, of many different conditions. But in our condition, our autonomic systems are failing.
Yeah, I had this I comment on a post. At this point, I don't care what people think of me, but they're going to sit there and say, somebody mentioned that they had POTS, and MSA or in relation to MSA, and this person was like, POTS has nothing to do with MSA, and I said, what umbrella are you hiding under? Do you even under like? And the reasoning behind this person's post was, I googled it, and all of the AI feedback says no. Like, so. Pardon me, and Sarah, you said this before we got on. You said something similar before we got on camera. I don't Google shit.
Mhm. Mhm.
I read scholastic articles, medical publications, research things, right? I don't just go by Google, because Google, a lot of these Yahoo, whatever, it's all AI, which is usually very good, but it misses a lot of things too. So if
It
you want to
does.
know, like, I go looking at the study results, not only for clinical trials, but every research thing done for MSA to see
Right.
what part of what portion of people have this, and this. And that's where you get your information from. But just Googling stuff, like POTS has nothing to do with it. But like my POTS is less severe than my or neurogenic orthostatic hypertension. My hypertension is great. It has a mind of its own. But boy, when that POTS creeps up, you feel like your heart has missed a beat, because your body,
Mhm.
you're literally missing rhythm at that point. It's the craziest sensation to have spontaneously. I can only compare it maybe to like euphoria, when you're like
Mhm.
like the happiest moment of your life, or the proudest.
Very
People,
excited.
yeah, people talk about, oh, my heart skipped for love, or like it's
Yes.
literally the weirdest sensation. You look down like, is my heart okay?
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm glad you said what you said. Thoughts,
Yeah, that's
it's
called
unknown. Yeah.
AFib and SVT. Like,
Hmm. Yeah.
I have both of those, AFib and SVT, and I have POTS. And right now, my orthostatic hypotension is controlled with midodrine. And another med that I'm taking for my bladder called silodosin has an effect on my blood pressure as well. But exactly, like your heart is skipping, like it could be bumping out of your chest. When I have
Yeah.
SVT and I'm 213 beats a minute, I had an ablation like not even a week after I had that big episode, but a month before it was showing that I had like 4 runs of SVT. Well, then that turned into 45 minutes, and then I had the ablation, right? So
Yeah.
these things progress very fast. What may happen 1 month is
You,
so.
you know what's horrible is insult to injury, as they say. We don't ever see any advertisements like on scrolling through Facebook at MSA. But every 5 pages, every 5 posts on my Facebook, I get MS saying, "Hey,
Yes.
come march with us." It's like Facebook. Can you not rub it in my face that it's not MS, it's MSA? Stop it.
Right, right. Like
So
there,
irritating.
they can be there, and I won't say that you can cure it, but you can more easily go into remission or inactive disease.
Yeah.
Sometimes,
It,
my Guillain-Barré
MS
has
is not
gone
terminal.
into.
Period. So
You can be
Right, right.
treated.
And
Yes.
and that is something too that, I did see a Facebook page or Facebook comment one time, and I had made a comment, and it was an innocent, we only know what we know, right?
yes.
And so it was a comment about, well, your symptoms sound just like Guillain-Barré. Well, they're both neurological conditions, but people that have Guillain-Barré don't have autonomic failure. And that's one of the biggest things, how we know that. I think I said earlier, Guillain-Barré opened up the door for MSA. MSA just walked right through that
Yeah.
door. And there's
Like,
been surgeries
how
I've
the
had to
hell are you
have.
doing?
Right. Like, hi, we're here. Oh, you need an
I,
emergency
I,
surgery because your intestines stopped working?
I
All
brought
right,
my
that
friends with me.
interview.
Yeah.
Right. So because it wasn't bad enough to have,
Just one
one,
thing. Yeah. Right.
you have to have all of them, because go big or go home.
It,
Like
it's,
MSA
it's,
wants to give and give and give and give. And
it
no,
gives.
really, it's taken.
And Sarah says it right.
Take.
You don't know what you don't know. And
Right.
there's some people out there that just want to admit that, like, you don't know everything. It's like, shut up, like, do some more research.
I mean, I
Well,
always try to be positive, but Sarah has brought me
Yeah.
some positivity today. I have learned different ways to remain positive.
Oh.
I told you before, Tito's is a perfectly fine way of remaining positive.
Beefy Tito's.
No,
And the problem is, you guys think I'm joking.
I know you're
no.
not.
Where's my bottle? I gotta get me some happiness.
No, but
Happiness
seriously,
is not found in the bottle, David.
Oh,
positivity. Like, oh, I traveled from my bed to my couch today.
I know that was awesome. That was the best
Hey,
ever.
well, here, I don't know if I have. Oh, I don't. It's
I
out
still
at my.
commute. That's what it was. I still commute.
Oh,
For
wait, it's
you.
right here. I do. My sister crocheted me this beautiful, beautiful bag. And she's like, and I can't remember how it came up about the travel bag, but she came down to visit me and she crocheted this beautiful purse to match my beach theme room. And she crocheted it while she was sitting on the couch. And I'm like, I would have stabbed myself with the needle hook there,
Yeah.
like with my tremor when
Oh,
but there's this beautiful, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's my new travel bag. And like, I throw my medicines and my flushes and, all kinds of things in there, and my phone, my charger. And so when I travel from the bed to the couch, I
you
have
Mhm.
make
my
your little
travel bag.
Oh,
But
good news is
everybody needs to watch your episode on MSA
traveling with
Crusaders
MSA.
traveling.
I think we need another one of those. There's so much more we could have talked about too. Yeah,
Oh yeah, we should have done part 1 and part 2.
yeah.
But live and learn.
We'll do another one. We'll bring Sarah on because we're all advanced in different degrees, right?
Oh man, yeah.
See?
Sarah,
Yes.
Sarah's bringing much knowledge to the table today.
Oh, I appreciate you guys. We learned from all of it. I want to say maybe some good websites for people to look onto would and versus Dr. Google would be National Institute of Neurological Health,
Yep.
NINH.
Yep.
Medscape is a great resource. And if you need to create an account, you can do so and you can have access to more information. I mean, I'm actually a student at a specific university graduating with a degree in neurology in 2025. So that's how I
Ooh,
registered.
congratulations.
I'm just kidding. I'm not really, but that's how I registered to get into the
We try.
articles.
Well,
But what I'm saying is,
We will tell.
close.
don't tell anybody. No, there's different sites, and I've gotten a lot of information even before I knew for sure, like, that it was, well, again, knowing for sure versus what we think,
Yeah,
right? So like
absolutely.
before it was in my chart, let's put it that way. Before it was in my chart, I would bring in information. I'd be like, here's the top 10 things about MSA that are, and I would bring it to anesthesia every time. And I'd be like, these are the things, please just be mindful of the fact that this is a condition that I could have. I have all of the symptoms, blah, 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 like, presented it to them. And sure enough, it was followed. And everybody was very cautious and very mindful of not giving paralytics during the emergency surgeries, doing all that they could to, I mean, I've done procedures just under Benadryl and lidocaine because of
Ow.
that. Well, you got to do what you got to do. I
You
wasn't
can't
ready to
take
meet
enough
Jesus
Benadryl for
yet.
that. How much Benadryl are you taking? A truckload? Oh my
I can't
goodness.
take Benadryl. I just reverse.
Mm.
Reverse to say to me, I climb the walls, but I just like want to come out of my skin.
Yes. Well, I have this Mediport in my chest that delivers my dextrose and some of my other infusions. And it gets quite a workout working 24/7, 365. So I have to have that. No, so it's,
Well,
Mediport changes, different things like that.
so let me ask you're Texas, correct? How
Tejas, yes.
how do you the show me say I think, right?
You're outnumbered today, buddy.
Unbelievable. All these Southerners, well, not Southern. So how do you deal with power loss during storms with your medical condition?
Well, I'm really glad that you asked that because there's something that I just learned that
But
because
besides hold your breath, okay.
oh yeah, well, it actually has to do with that. It's so funny. So I'm on oxygen, right? And so I have a portable concentrator and I have a room concentrator, but I didn't have oxygen tanks. So recently I started with a new company, and can I say their name? Because they're really awesome.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Good Night Medical. Good Night Medical. And there's a respiratory therapist named Heather who has taken absolutely wonderful care of me. And she brought out to oxygen tanks. So if we lose electricity, then I have 100% on my portable concentrator, and it can be charged in the car. So that would keep me supplied with that oxygen. And now I have 2 oxygen tanks that, if the electricity is not there, then now that's one of the things that has recently happened, that change. But before that, it was, hey, you have an additional, car adapter and keep it charged and all of that.
Mhm.
But I do have, I'm registered with the state of Texas for the emergency disaster. I think it's called STEER. And then I'm also registered like with my electric company. If there is an outage, or there's any kind of planned outage, then I'll be notified. Or they'll try and, save our electricity, put our electricity back on. I have a lot of extra supplies here at home, and I have all of my care is pretty much provided in home: PT, OT, speech, respiratory, all of my therapies. I have skilled nursing, infusion nursing, and if I could list off the companies, oh my gosh, I have the greatest team. And they make sure that I have, they'll call me and say, hey, there's a disaster issue, or there's a disaster warning issue. Do you have this, this, and this? So I am kind of covered that way. I do have a lot of people looking out for me.
Well, we are
Awesome.
pro company. We're pro doing things the right way. So I mean, if you know the names of the companies that are doing the correct things, absolutely name them off.
Shout them out.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, the most angels on earth
Me?
are
Oh, come on, Sarah.
oh, I
Stop it.
know. And I just met you too. You're just an angel, but you are really.
Right.
I'm gonna say angels. So my infusion company, my home infusion company, and Tony and Carol, registered nurses with Loving the Care Given.
Mm-hmm.
And my home health company is Choice. And Ashley, my nurse Victoria is no longer there, but I miss her all the time. And Mary Lou, my physical therapist, Emma, she was here today, and Peter, it's amazing. I also, let me see, my urology supplies come from Strive Medical with Christine. My ostomy supplies come from 180 Medical. My gosh, we can just go down the list of every body system. But my infusion company, Vital Care, San Antonio, they're awesome. You guys, I'm so blessed to be able to do this stuff. Advanced imaging services, they come to my home and they do chest x-rays, and I've had ultrasounds here. Um,
That's really
yeah,
neat. I love that.
my home health company, I can't leave them out, or my home health PCP. Her name is nurse practitioner Marina. Shout out to Sarah. I don't know how she deals with me. She's a registered nurse, and they come to my home and see me. And I just recently started with palliative care with Compassus, and they are just Dr. Jessica and Dr. Getter. He called today to helping me through an acute issue, keep me out of the emergency room. And you guys, they're just all of them. I could
So
go on, but
awesome.
those are the biggest ones. And I'm sure I'm leaving somebody very, very important out. But shout out to
Well,
my infusion nurses for bringing me
That is
my
awesome.
every week.
yeah, what you said, I keep plugging I don't care about my YouTube channel. Keep plugging the video. You can tell Sarah is getting the treatment and
She's supposed
and
to.
the
Yeah.
care, not only she's supposed to, but she needs. And it sounds like a lot of it is ahead of the curve. What could go wrong, what might go wrong. Like Sarah said all this, and nobody can see the videos that were on, but happily said that, like ecstatically said that. That is such a big difference when we have the correct interdisciplinary care.
You feel taken care of.
Yeah, compared to someone who doesn't get to carry is always behind the 8 ball. Like, yes, we have bad things ahead for us, but we feel so much better in the here and now because our team is doing it correctly.
Yes, yes.
I'm sorry. I wish I had that. I'm jealous.
Yeah, it's, Daisy, I will help you create a team because that is what it has taken me, is to learn how to do it and everything that I know, I've learned from other things and I gather and I'm a collector of resources and I build that toolbox. But if something can be done for me to safely have it done and me get to the point where I can safely leave the house, to go do that. Right now, I'm at the point where if I have to go, it is by ambulance, right? And it's just not that safe for me to leave. But my goal is to be able to do that with the treatments that I'm on. It's not curative, but they are treatments that have helped me. And so I don't give up hope. I do not give up hope. I accept that this is a potential probable diagnosis. It's right there in black and white, but it doesn't mean that I remit.
There's some positivity to feed off of there. I mean, she's just boasting with it positivity. I love it.
I'm glad you love it. Some people don't, but I am who I am. Like, this is me. Like, I know how things are. I'm very realistic, but I'm also optimistic.
It's clearly because she lived in Florida before. That's exactly why.
Oh, now David, don't go knocking Texas again.
I'm never. No.
Sarah, how long have you lived in Texas, Sarah?
I have lived here since 2009, but I did come from Florida.
And how long you lived in Florida?
I lived in Florida for 4 years, and before that, I was Midwest in Iowa.
Iowa? There's only two things that come from Iowa.
It was up there where my son was in Council.
I was like corn and tornadoes. I'm not sure, but okay, yeah.
Oh, they just got hit with the tornadoes, right?
All of them, yeah. Tornado Alley, yep.
We had some nasty weather here, didn't we? David has been watching the weather in Texas.
Yeah, always. Trying to see what crap you guys are sending up here to Chicagoland. It all comes from Texas. What else can you give us? So
we give beef. Well, we do give, next to Nebraska, we have a pretty good beef collection down here.
I will say on the way to Mexico with my wife before. Texas was the first time we pulled over for gas. Lightning hits the gas station, kills all the electric. And 10 minutes later, the tornado's crossing the highway a few hundred feet from us. I'm sitting there like, if it could like rain cats and dogs, we can complete the trilogy. But yeah, Texas got some crazy weather down there, man.
Oh, well, I thoughts and prayers with Iowa and the Midwest. Actually, the condition that I have, Guillain-Barré, is immune mediated, and I caught a virus on the trip. My last trip to the Midwest, I caught the virus doing foot. And that triggered my Guillain-Barré. Let me say that again. When I went to Iowa and Nebraska for flood relief efforts for my company in 2019, I caught a virus that triggered Guillain-Barré. But while I was there, the purpose of my trip was because Nebraska was halfway underwater, and so was Iowa. It was March 2019. So my heart is heavy when something happens there, and I was an advocate for the state, a member advocate for the state at that time. And it's Midwest strong. Like, it is. It's just, that's how it is, and they'll recover. They're not going to ask for all of the help in the world. They're going to do it themselves. Like,
I remember back then, my son is in the Air Force, and the base was underwater.
Oh yes, yep. Everything was that whole right by the airport. Oh my gosh, I lived there forever. What's the name of the bridge? Thank you, brain.
So if my mom was here, we'd call it the Dam Bridge, but that's a whole other story.
But yes, there's the Mormon Bridge. Yes, the Mormon Bridge. It was all underwater. All of that. So this state was just.
Maybe that was biblical.
Well, maybe.
We're getting canceled off air. Sorry, with the podcast.
Your son and Offit.
if a base is underwater, we need to fire the engineer, like whoever designed this place. Like, that should never happen, you know. So,
Well,
Yes,
no.
he was an off-it.
Sarah, how do you stay positive in what's given your condition?
Well, I curse and I pray
Me
and I
too.
practice gratitude.
And then you curse more.
Then I curse some
Curse.
more. And then, my filter has come off. I always say, like, I am like grandma in the nursing home, except I'm 45 years old. My filter is gone. It's not supposed to be gone yet, but it is. And, I really, gratitude has been one of the biggest things that has helped me. Um, because we're never promised tomorrow. None of us. Like, none of us with MSA, my neighbor is not. We don't know, and we can't take life for granted. I consider all different kinds of things as the days go on as success. And then when something happens, I let myself. That's how I deal with it. Is I let myself feel the feels. I let myself cry. I let myself get mad, and then I get over it. But if I don't and I stuff it all in, don't get bad. Don't get
You hurt,
better.
you hurt nobody but yourself if you do that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I do a lot of affirmations, staying connected with people, even though I'm at home. I I love the connection. I love to do things outside of my condition, outside of, you know, the daily sending a fax from my phone, sending emails, portals, just trying to stay alive, right? Like those different things. But
Yeah. You have to.
I, part of it just, I mean, basic things like getting up in the morning and taking my pajamas off and putting on new clothes. Like number one, I woke up. That's the first good thing,
There you
right?
go. Yeah.
I know we were talking the other night. We both said it's hair washes day. We look forward to hair washing day.
We
I,
both have Sunday as hair washing day.
I think her attitude, Sarah. I
It's
don't.
amazing, isn't it?
I would never compare you and I
Oh,
because we're not. We're so different and similar. But I mean positive about what I'm about to say. But we sound so similar in our attitude because she literally says shit happens and then we get over it. She says we get
yeah.
over it. Like this morning, I took 2 steps, fell because my first time my leg collapsed. Never had it
Oh
before.
gosh.
I got up, realized my leg wasn't broke, and I got the hell over it and kept walking to the living room to get my cereal. So, I mean, that's the attitude you have to have is just get the hell over it and keep going.
Right. Or like, hey, I have to go to the emergency room, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
the day that I had SVT, I was I was more upset that my heart rate wouldn't go down under 200.
Yeah.
And so I took my own personal EKG with Bicardia. I
Yeah.
had my Omron blood pressure. So I had my reports. I literally printed out the EKG just in case it stopped on its own. And by the time I got to the hospital, but the paramedics came and got me, and I'm like, here you go. Here's my EKG. Here's my blood pressure. Yes, it's 200. Can we go? And, like, I don't have time for this. I need my heart rate to come down. They
Get me
converted me in
there.
the ambulance. We get to the hospital. I'm like, okay, I'm stable now, right? Can I go home? And
No,
they're like,
gotta watch you.
um, so after I start explaining my history a little bit and they look at my chart, they were like, well, let's call and make sure, they checked with my EP cardio, my cardio, they checked testing. And they said, after they watched me for a while, gave me a little potassium, the yummy yellow, the orange
Mm-hmm.
drink, and which it wasn't too bad, but whatever. I was like, can I just go home now? Like if I go to the ER, like stabilize me and let me go home because I don't want to be admitted, right? Like,
Yeah.
so yes, time goes marching on because that's some time that I am missing from my family and my husband and my children
See,
and my
I mean,
friends.
what you have to do is take advantage of the trip. You say you don't get out very often unless it's the ambulance. Well, on the way
True.
back, you gotta say, "Hey, ambulance driver, can we hit a Starbucks on the way?" You see, you gotta like incorporate 2 or more things on the trip.
There you go.
Oh, David, let me tell you guys one time, well, a couple times, 0.4 miles in the ambulance between one hospital to the other, right? Because I needed the teleneural floor. And 0.4 miles. I said, you guys, we don't even have time to listen to a full song. There's no there's no sirens, there's no high speed. Like, come on, can we just take
Taking all the fun
one
away.
song,
Yeah, right.
take
Yeah.
one lap? Like, and they're looking at me and I'm like, I'm not losing my mind. I'm just like, this is gonna be about $4,000 right here for this
Seriously.
0.4 mile run. Can we make it worth it?
Right. That's a good.
Sir, my final direct question rather would be, given what your condition, and like you said, MSA, it's never 100% diagnosis until that postmortem. Even mine, even Daisy's. Right? There's always there's so many diseases that mimic it, and not that we're gonna get like 10 diseases at one time, but yeah, it's so hard until postmortem to see these things. Unless they did an MRI and saw the hot cross buns and you've got advanced, that's a whole other thing. But
Yeah, I've had those MRIs.
Yeah, the hot cross bun sign means you're so far gone already. It's crazy that sometimes that happens with living patients. But what advice would you give any of those listeners that have MSA? I mean, we all three of us here have progressed very differently, for better or for worse. But what advice would you give other patients who have MSA, maybe just got it? Just common advice.
Don't accept no. Don't accept I don't know. Advocate for yourself because nobody else is going to. I mean, there gets to a point where you're going to, but in general, you are your best advocate. Yeah. Learn everything that you can about the condition, the symptoms of the condition, right? Like whether you treat the symptoms, you don't treat the diagnosis. And I want people to know that sometimes we get fixated on a specific diagnosis, but advocate, educate your providers.
Yeah.
Ask to be involved, and don't accept no, you can't be involved.
It's my life.
Those are some of the things. Like, the only reason that I'm here, number one, is God lets me be here right now, and number two is because I fight for myself. I do not like unilateral decisions to be made, and I always want to be a part of the decision.
Yeah.
You guys, I think, heard me at the beginning. My voice wasn't as strong, and I've been laying down this time.
It's gotten much better.
And it's gotten better because I have to change, but I had just literally transferred from the couch to the bed to meet with you guys, but now I'm using it again and it's coming back. So Parkinson's, use it or lose it, the big and loud. But I really encourage people and families to be involved and to reach out to those who are struggling, those who have walked the journey, and realize that your journey is your own. Like, your journey is your own. It is never going to be the exact same, just as you said, David, and Daisy, you mentioned it earlier too. Our journeys are very individual. We have a lot of the overlapping symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
But I just advise to not sit down and shut up.
Good for you. Very good for you.
She's amazing. Sarah has brought a ton of a big, huge book of knowledge to the table today. And it's been great having her on the show. I think a lot of listeners are going to gain a lot from you, Sarah. I really do.
Are those tears I hear?
A little bit.
I can hear it as you speak. Daisy, you promised you would stop. It's like me and Tito, right?
She just touches my heart.
So, Sarah, how about the man behind the scenes?
I love you, Daisy.
How long have you been married for?
I've been married for 20 years.
Congratulations on that in today's world.
Thanks. I don't know how he does what he does, but he is absolutely, absolutely amazing. He is my rock and my constant.
Does he tell you no sometimes?
Yes, especially with Amazon.
Oh, wow.
There's about one of those that took his vow seriously. It's sickness and health until death this part.
He I just this is what will bring me to tears is because I I can't imagine what he goes through knowing what my prognosis is. And because if I put the shoe on the other foot
I don't know if I
and
can handle it.
I think about if this were him going through it, I don't know that I could, I don't know that my attitude would be the same. Like, I would, of course, try, but when it comes to talking about my husband and this, if he had MSA, I, he's a freaking rock star. He's just a solid, constant. I mean, he works from home, but he literally works. Like he's on the phone, he's working, but he'll come out and he'll take care of something that I need help with. You know, he just right before I got on this call with you guys ran to HEB to pick up my prescription because I'm having an acute episode right now of something. And so he runs out and he grabs my medicine and he comes back home. He takes care of so much stuff, and I'm teasing about Amazon. He doesn't usually tell me no. Sometimes he gives me a look though.
That's
He
awesome
says,
for you.
I've never seen the Amazon delivery driver come up with a big white tote before. As he said yesterday, and he took a picture, and I was like, oh, well. But you know, it's pretty high maintenance with the medical supplies around here, and Amazon is the quickest and fastest way to get some medical gloves and
Hmm.
medicine, things like that. Like, thank God for Amazon. But he will go out and run all the errands. But for me, I want to try and do something, and ordering on Amazon and ordering groceries and all of that. I
Yeah.
can do that. They can come, they're delivered, or he just runs and picks them up. So that is something that we've always been about balance in our relationship and parenting and everything. And like, that's what I hope to try to maintain, even though my health picture is different.
Greg sounds like an amazing man.
Yes, I'm very blessed.
I say it very often. And my mother, my wife, kids and close friends. I said, knowing what I know now, I wish that if situations were reversed, I would have your strength to do what you do. To be, whether call it money, call it resources, kindness, love, time, effort,
Yeah.
energy, sweat. You hit the nail on the head. Like we don't know what we don't know until it's in front of us or it hits us, right? And I wish that I would hope and if things were changed, I would be as strong as some people, such as your husband, are to be able, and these husbands, and my wife, to do what they're doing for us.
We can't imagine it. Like she said, the shoes on the other foot. I don't know.
I can't imagine other people having disease like they can't imagine, like me caring for my wife. Like my wife is caring.
Mm-hmm.
Is that because she's a woman, been in the medical field for a long time, and a mother or two, maybe. But I'm not that lovey-dovey, caring, what's the bedside manner, woman nurse or anything like that. Like I don't know if I could see myself doing that. I wish I could. I hope I could.
When they
And
say we don't go through it, and say it alone,
yeah,
it's the truth. We don't. We're
Mm-hmm.
not in it alone,
it's
and
it's
Right.
humbling.
that's why I always use our motto or my motto.
Yes,
It's the
it's
truth.
very we're all so blessed. Like, but you know what? Greg says the same thing. Like, we would do it if if it were, then we would step up to the plate. I'm not saying that right, but I
You'd hope
think
so. You'd hope so.
he calls himself. This is so funny, you guys. So he does some nursing type duties, right? And he calls himself a WN. What do you think it stands for?
Want to be a nurse? Is that
Want to
what?
be nurse.
That's awesome.
So he has his
Cute.
own blocks of gloves. Like each of my nurses, I have their
Yeah.
own box of gloves for them. And so I got Greg a box of gloves, and
Well,
Oh, you got WN on it. That's
he wrote
we
cute.
WN.
we will call him a DN. He's a deputized nurse at this point.
That is there. You go, David. That's a good one.
That's a good one, David. I'm gonna give him that
Yeah, whether
suggestion.
he wants to be a nurse or not, he's been deputized, so he has to.
Yes.
That's good. I'm gonna give that one to my husband too.
Oh,
Because we're just like that. We have boxes of gloves on the table here. basketball, health, medical supplies.
Oh,
Well, Sarah, I want to thank you so much for coming on today and telling us all this stuff and teaching us some great knowledge. And our listeners are going to gain a lot from listening to you. And
thank you so much, Daisy. Thank
if you,
you. Thank you, David.
It's been a
if you,
pleasure for sure.
if you ever want, we'd love to have you back because you are a great teacher.
All right. I would love to be back. I'd love to have a part 2. We
Yeah, I'm
got
sure
this.
You shall.
we could have you on and talk another hour.
We
But
could break down the B's of autonomic failure.
That'll be fun.
But I don't think we'd have the voice for an
You're right,
hour.
Sarah. The B's: beer, booze,
Oh,
vodka,
David,
wine, whiskey.
you're in that.
Thinking about it.
Hey, short, eat the cake.
Absolutely. Hey,
And,
I'm telling you, life is short. Do your thing, because if you don't do it now, you may not be able to do it later.
and remember, we're all MSA Crusaders.
Yes.